Donald Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, has arrived in Israel. He's set to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the ceasefire and implementing the second phase of the deal. Witkoff is also expected to visit the Netzarim Corridor in Gaza to see U.S. security contractors who are screening Palestinian vehicles. Laura Khan's in Jordan's capital, Amman. And that's because the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority have banned Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. Let's talk about Steve Witkoff's visit first of all. What more do we know about the timetable and what he's intending to do when he's here?
Well, we do actually know from Israel's Broadcasting Authority alongside other Israeli media, and they do have photos that he did earlier visit Gaza. He's the first American official to visit in many years because they've often refused to have any contact with Hamas whatsoever, and also because of security issues. But he did visit the Netzarim Corridor, which, as we know, opened on Monday, allowing hundreds of thousands of people through. Two of those roads have essentially been opened, Al-Rashid and Salahuddin Road, allowing people to enter the north, essentially. So he would have been under very heavy guard and more towards where the Israeli army is still posted further into the east. And he also visited the Philadelphi corridor, where Israel still has a presence, and that's between Rafah in the south of Gaza and also Egypt. Now, he did then go on to Israel, where he has, according to Israeli media, he has been meeting up with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, and Ron Dermer, his Minister of Strategic Affairs, where they will be discussing the second phase, moving into the ceasefire deal. He's obviously going to want to be there in support of Donald Trump and to ensure the ceasefire deal is implemented. But interestingly, even before this trip, he was in Riyadh, where he met with top Palestinian officials, including Sheikh Hussein. He's the executive of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And importantly, he's a very close guide with Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority. So he will be feeding back. However, neither Washington or the Palestinian Authority have given any details of this, but we know he's the first Palestinian official to meet up since Trump's inauguration.
Laura, stay with me for a second, because I want to ask you about some stuff that's been happening in Jenin. We understand that Israel is continuing its military assault across the occupied West Bank. At least 21 Palestinians have been killed, dozens have been injured. Israeli forces have demolished homes and bulldozed streets, causing widespread destruction. Defense Minister Israel Katz says his forces are going to remain in the Jenin refugee camp in the north. And that's where Israel's offensive has entered its second week.
The Jenin refugee camp will not return to what it was. After the completion of the operation, IDF forces will remain in the camp to make sure that terrorism does not return.
OK, Laura, let's talk about what's happening in Jenin refugee camp, because if I understand it correctly, the usual strategy for the Israeli military when they carry out raids in a particular area is to go in, carry out the raids and then withdraw. But according to Israel Katz, they're going to remain. How significant is this?
Well, this is highly significant. We've already seen dozens of families displaced from the Jenin camp and a huge amount of destruction. We've had bulldozers pulling up the roads. We know that, as you stated, many people have been killed. But they've also extended the raids past Jenin and into Tulkarem refugee camp as well. So both places, they've been destroying homes. They've come in with dozens of military vehicles. Now, the important thing about Jenin is this certainly isn't the first time. We know that there has been an uptick in invasions and airstrikes since October 7, 2023, when the war in Gaza began. But of course, the world was watching what was happening in Gaza. So around 880 people have been killed across the occupied West Bank, most of those people in Jenin and Tulkarem, and around a quarter of those have been through airstrikes. Now, before 2022, when we saw the beginning of the Israeli assaults really into these camps, the biggest in 2 decades, we hadn't seen these airstrikes. So we're seeing more and more of that taking place. And obviously, it's most concerning for the people inside these refugee camps.
Laura, thanks very much indeed. That's Laura Khan bringing us up to date there from Amman.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.